So I was going to go to ESG, but I now want to just ask you, where do you think that the alarmism came from?
I think this ties back in with the ESG movement as well. But I mean, this sort of, well, it wasn't called climate, but this climate movement has been around since the 80s. I mean, it was introduced by the UN. It's always been sort of like sustainable development or something within that vein. We had the UN Global Compact in 2000. And that's also the same time that the World Economic Forum started to promote this stakeholder capitalism, which was, again, a shift from the prioritization of shareholders' needs to a much broader stakeholder. And, stakeholders can encompass anyone and everyone, and it sort of depends what the frameworks decide is a stakeholder that you would have to consider and consult with. Then, we started to have, in the 2010s, I think companies started to see that maybe there was an opportunity to make some money off of this environmental movement. And so you did start to see the big asset managers like the BlackRocks, the Vanguards, the State Streets. They started to put pressure on companies to start disclosing. And I think it was typically called corporate social responsibility. So these things have kind of morphed over the years. And, again, the World Economic Forum gets even more involved in a lot of this, and they continue to stay very influential in what they expect of their members, who are often larger, very influential companies, as well as government officials. And so I'm not saying that, they're necessarily phoning CEOs and or Justin Trudeau and telling them what to say, but there's a level of sort of collective influence. There's, the social stigmas of not being on side with what those kind of organizations want. I think that people who think that, heads of companies and states are immune from the human requirement to feel like they belong and want to acquiesce to kind of the crowd. I think, we're naive to think that those people are devoid of those kind of human requirements. And so I think they often just sort of go along. They go along to get along. But I think that also, ESG is the financial underpinnings for how they are trying to reshape our societies. Some people call it social engineering, re-engineering. But you do see that we have a lot of very influential people, including Mark Carney, who is now an advisor to the Liberal Party here in Canada. He's been instrumental in creating frameworks and unaccountable, unelected bodies, net zero emissions bodies, financial related bodies that focus on like emissions reductions or, certain things. He's been very instrumental in creating these kind of, arm's length bodies that have been very influential within the movement and kind of reshaping society in the image that they want.